Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series live from Road America and Glacier TV. Will Vincent and David Ward in the booth. David, very good evening to you.
Yeah, it's good to see you. I'm looking forward to this race. It should be quite good fun.
Yeah, it really is, and this Road America track, 4 miles exactly, and then 14 turns. We are in the dying moments of qualifying. For those of you who are new to the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series, we have two classes of cars for you today. The Mazda MX-5 makes up one division, the Ford Mustangs a second. Currently leading the way in the Ford Mustangs, Trace McRae with a qualifying time of 2 minutes 28.567, over 1.2 seconds ahead of second place driver Oscar Sardin in the number 84 machine. And then in the MX-5, Giancarlo Lenzi is setting the point with a 2 minutes 38.162, with Arthur Chan currently sat in second position, but only about half a tenth behind.
Yeah,
And a reminder to our fans that the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series is sponsored by CESCS Racing, your home for safety harnesses, belts and head nets. Drive fast, be safe with CESCS Racing. So David, as a GT driver quite like yourself, you've raced at Road America a good number of times, and this is a very difficult track for cars that don't have airfoils or pretty wings here and there.
yeah, they'll a lot of them will make up for it in the back twisty sections, but it's going to be all about getting maximum speed onto the big long straights, especially going onto the start-finish straight. You've got to get a good drive out of that last corner. So, and it's going to be about slipstreaming as well. These MX-5s are definitely once you get behind one of the other cars, you can get a real good tow. So we should see some good passes going into the first corner.
So to run through your grid then, in the Ford Mustang division, Trace McRae does claim pole position with the 2 minute 28.567. Oscar Sarlin lining up on row number 1 alongside him. Steve Brown and Matt Ferris in row number 2, with David Waters and JD Bogardemer in row number 3. Alexis Moliner and Ayrton Ellis in row number 4, with Edmund Hirschberger and Bill Daly in row 5. And Stephen McPherson and Joseph Ottofaro in row number 6, with Eric Hansard last in the Ford Mustang division. And then moving on to the Mazda MX-5, Giancarlo Lenzi and Arthur Chan first and second, Flavien Vidal, Jason Breifogel third and fourth, Ryan Hawley and Matthew Reinhold in fifth and sixth, Hango Tao and Eric Biggs in seventh and eighth, and then Antti Turman, Wes Eric, Stephanie Morin, David Wamard, Michael Grisner, Tom Elkin, Jaime Faranga, John Montoya, Russell Clayson, and Peter Brennan.
Russell Clayson and Peter Brennan haven't set a qualifying time, so are they going to be starting from the pit lane?
I think they'll just be starting from the rear of the field as per Stu's rules. Russell Clayson hasn't actually lined up on the grid at the moment. In fact, it looks like neither of them are currently in. No, Russell Clayson is about. So we're keeping an eye to see whether he does just start from pit lane or just from the rear of the field.
Okay, so this is going to be a rolling start. So some of these guys in the MX-5s at the front of the MX-5s, they're only 3 seconds off the slower Mustang drivers, so they might be mixing it up with them a little bit.
And for the MX-5s, their cornering speed will probably be the thing that upsets these Ford Mustangs the most, as you've experienced quite a lot in your multi-class racing days, David. There's times where, the straight line speed of some cars is vastly superior, but once you get to the tight and twisty bits, the slower cars seem to have the edge at times, as you see quite a lot with the HPD and the Corvettes.
Yeah, the Mustangs aren't renowned for their handling. They've just got a big straight line grunt, and these MX-5s, they're going to be catching these guys in the twisty section. They might trouble them a little bit But then once the field's spread out, should it should get quite interesting.
And one of the advantages of this Road America track is its vastly superior length. And with the fact there are full course cautions on this racetrack and the length of time it takes to complete a lap here at the circuit, it does mean that these Ford Mustangs won't be coming up as often on the MX-5s as we've seen at a couple of the other rounds of this championship, which is good. It allows both classes to just get on with their racing without too much issues. The full course cautions, they're always interesting here because for the MX-5s especially, if they come down pit lane or they've got to catch the field up, they're almost having to run normal style laps just to be able to catch the field back up and get themselves to pace speed, which always makes for a couple of interesting moments, and it'll be interesting to see whether or not any drivers lose out to that in this race.
Yeah, it's not very often that we see full course cautions run on the road courses, so it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out.
As you see, for the most part, drivers are single file as they're coming up towards the left-hander, which then leads into the carousel. And to be fair, it's the easiest way to go. These drivers will line up too wide after they get out of Canada corner, so famously named because if you go off there, and the next place you probably will end up is Canada.
I think I've been off there once or twice in my time.
But this carousel corner is so difficult, and then afterwards you've got this back straightaway which has that fast right-hand turn afterwards, and you've got to be so careful there.
Yeah, the kink is definitely, you've got to have some big kahunas to keep your foot in going through there.
And it's in some ways a bit of a momentum killer as well. You can get a great run out the carousel, but unless you're side by side going into the kink, pretty much often you're not going to want to try and make a move down the inside there, otherwise it ends so badly for both parties.
Oh yeah, unless you are fully alongside, you're better off just backing off, or it's going to take you both out, and then you're going to have a big accident, and anyone else coming around there is flat out anyway, so they're going to be they could end up hitting you. And then if you can get a good run on someone, you can outbrake them down here into Canada.
So then the famous Canada corner, the right-hander, and then into the final sector of this lap. I love this final couple of corners, going up a slight gradient and flicking it to the left, the blind apex as you go through the centre of the corner, and then into the final turn, which it really was weird the way the car handles as you brake into it. As you see, Trace McRae is going to bring the field up to green flag racing any moment now. Pace car makes that hard turn down pit lane, coming up the hill. The number 69 machine of Trace McRae brings the field to green flag racing here at Road America.
Okay, it looks like we're going to have two wide racing for a little while until these guys sort themselves out.
Yeah, and you see there the Mazdas very, very wisely just dropping back a little bit to give the Mustangs a bit of a room coming into turn number one. This is going to be interesting. Too wide doesn't always work here, but for the most, looks though all the Mustangs have been able to get through okay. Having looked back now through the MX-5s, again, it looks though everyone's been able to get themselves through. For the most part, the MX-5 division are single file.
Yeah, it looks like everyone in the field has actually got through without any mishaps on the first two corners.
So your first long straightaway now as they come down towards turn number 5. This very, very big braking zone as you go down the hill, then brake as late as possible. You've got a nice bit of run-off area if you're out brake yourself, but don't run into the car ahead. And Trace McRae still leading the way, dominated in qualifying. You see Edmund Hirschberger there making a move there on the number 18 machine, getting very close to collecting each other as they come down under the Corvette bridge into this left-hand corner. And it looks as though Hirschberger has managed to get the job done on David Waters in the number 76.
Yeah, we've got Trace McRae. Looks like he's got, well, the first 5 Mustangs have pulled out a little bit of a gap, so it looks like these guys are the front runners.
And I'll tell you what, Arthur Chan currently sat in the leader of the MX-5 division. He's been able to get himself around Flavien Vidal, and he's right on the back of Stefan McPherson in the Mustang. But now you get the chance for the Mustang to start stretching his legs, as David Waters has lost 2 positions in this first lap, and Molnar has been able to gain 2 positions from 9 up into the 7th position. As you see, Ayrton Ellis trying to see whether he can make a pass on Ayrton Ellis. Having to get off the throttle a little bit. That's going to mess up his entrance into Canada, losing the opportunity to try and make a pass down the inside. But for the most part, very clean racing this first part of the lap, as Arthur Chan is leading the Mazda MX-5 division from Giancarlo Lenzi, and Flavien Vidal coming under pressure from Ryan Hawley, trying to look around the outside into the penultimate corner. That never's going to end up well, so Ryan Hawley just gets out the throttle there.
Yeah, real good driving from these guys, nice and clean. Not too many incidents so far. Real close racing between the MX-5. This is really good to watch.
2 wide between Katie Bargardmer and Stephen Brown as he come in to turn number 1 on lap 2. Stephen Brown looks as though he's going to be able to keep the position for the moment on the outside line, but Bargardmer gets a very good drive off the corner. Is he going to see if he can make a move back down on the inside coming into turn 2? Getting off the throttle a little bit, giving Stephen Brown a little bit of room in that 82 machine just for the moment to run through your order at the end of lap number 1. Trace McRae is your leader, with Oscar Sardin in 2nd, Matt Ferris in 3rd, Steve Brown in 4th, JD Bogardmer rounding out your top 5. Then in the MX-5s, Arthur Chan, Giancarlo Lenzi, Flavien Vidal, Ryan Hawley and Hang Otao.
And we've got 2 MX-5s into the pits doing their mandatory stops.
And we see this quite often, the MX-5 division coming in early to, just get their fuel, get it all out the way. Jamie Farraga, Jamie Farraga even, he's in pit lane. It was in pit lane. Antti Turman came down pit lane, and Jason Breifogel as well in the number 34 machine. He looks as though he's got himself a tiny bit of rear damage, probably in the little bit of bumping and bowing. You see Tom Elkin there trying to put a move on Russell Clayton. He has fallen back a little bit as he's still trying to work his way through these Mazda MX-5s.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good idea to pit early because you're so close and bunched together. You just want like a little bit of space and run your own line and try and gain all those places back later on.
2 wide there, Matthew Reinhold trying to look to the outside of Eric Biggs in the carousel, trying to do the classic switchover. He was on the outside, now he looked down to the inside as they come off the corner. Has he got the drive to make it down into the kink? Not just yet.
No, not yet. After the kink, I think he's going to be able to get a good run, and I think he could try and outbrake him going into Canada.
As you see, the number 44 machine, we're looking at the roof cam of him now, as right ahead of him, they go, bunched up. That is Giancarlo Lenzi looking down to the inside. As you see there, going wide, Flavien Vidal.
Oh yeah, I knew it looked like he had a good run on him. I knew that he would try and get a pass on him going into Canada.
But for these top drivers in the MX-5 division, they are going hammer and tongue early in this race. We'll see if there's any more takers into pit lane. None of the top 4 look as though they're coming down. However, Hang Otao comes down pit lane. Looks as though he, for the moment, is the only taker in the MX-5 division. A couple of other drivers looking as though they might have come down, but for the most part, everyone else has stayed out.
I'm just watching David Waters on the back of car 89, Edmund Hinsberg. He looks like he's going to set him up for the left-hander hairpin after the straight.
Yeah, David Waters has got himself a brilliant toe now as he comes down. Leave it as late as possible to move to the left-hand side. Now he does so. It's going to be a drag race as they come down to the braking zone. Waters just braking a little bit too early there. Wasn't going to be able to get the move done.
No, he was definitely setting him up there. Just showed him in the mirrors. He's going to try and find out where his weak spots are on the track and just try and capitalise on that later on in the race.
But under that call, that bridge, again, is a very nice passing opportunity. I've seen so many occasions it's gone wrong as well.
It is so difficult to pass under that bridge. You've got to have a good drive, and you don't see it very often. You'll only see it in the multi-class racing, just because of the faster cars
Yeah, there's so often the faster cars just looking for any opportunity to get past, and with that short straightaway, there is an opportunity to gain enough ground to just dive down the inside. But the way the bumps are in the corners and the way the corner falls off, it's always very difficult to make a pass happen. See, Water's just dropping back a little bit now.
Yeah, he seems to have a little bit of trouble going through the long left-hander, just tapping the brakes to try and settle the car up. They go into Canada corner.
And we're having a look at Jody Bogardman now on the number 63 machine. He is looking very, very racy. He's got Steve Brown ahead of him. And Steve Brown's only a couple of car lengths again behind Matt Ferris. That is your battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th on the racetrack. Going to be Jody Bogardman drafting Steve Brown, who in turn is drafting Matt Ferris. With the horsepower on these cars and the slipstream, it doesn't look just yet that any driver is gaining a real advantage in these Ford Mustangs. But as the fuel load burns off in these cars and people start doing different strategies, you might see a lot more slipstreaming. But for the moment, single file between these three drivers.
Yeah, it's going to be later on in the race. Fuel load's coming down. Tyres are also going to play an issue, and driver fatigue as well. You got to keep concentration up for a long time.
And to be fair, if you want to make a pass down into the end of the next braking zone, you always want to set that up all the way back on the start-finish straight, get a good run for the first couple of corners, get a very good exit off turn number 2, so that you can kind of draft your way all the way down the hill into this big braking zone. And it's the type of thing that you almost need to set up your pass, you know, a quarter of a lap, a third of a lap in advance, if you're going to try and make a clean pass happen.
Oh yeah, you've got to keep that momentum going all the way up, and it's like you have to plan ahead to make your passes. Otherwise, you know, you just go on, like you can end up making a mistake and taking each other off.
And we have a pass and lead in the Mazda MX-5 division, and your new race leader is, surprise, surprise, Giancarlo Lenzi, as he blocks there Arthur Chan coming down the back straightaway. That was a little bit naughty there.
Yeah,
Arthur Chan coming.
That was definitely more than one movement.
So Giancarlo Lenzi once again back out front in the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series, and Lenzi really has been a force to reckon with in the Mazda MX-5 division, but that was as close to blocking as you could literally realistically get.
Yeah, that was he was going to go and pass him on the grass, I think, but Arthur just looks a little bit quicker. Oh! He's going off into the gravel. He just got caught out by brakes there.
And that's a very difficult braking zone, because you want to get a good corner speed through there into the carousel to draw your momentum all the way through the back section of this racetrack. But as you saw there for Arthur Chan, he's now lost himself a position to Flavien Vidal, who's moved himself back up into the second position in that 09 car as he's coming through the kink momentarily. As you see the 44 machine, he is making a move at the moment, the number 44 car of Matthew Reinhold on Eric Biggs. That is your battle on the racetrack for 15th and 16th overall.
Is he going down the inside at Canada? No, he's
not
quite.
Not quite, but he gets very good run.
Oh, he's going to get a good drive out of here as number 16 gets pushed out onto the gravel. He's not going to go around the outside. Is he going to make it?
He's going to go around the outside.
Wow. Excellent driving.
Matthew Reinhold taking 4th position in class there from Eric Biggs in the number 16 Oakley machine. That was a fabulous overtaking maneuver, and that requires a lot of cajoles if you want to have any opportunity of making a pass there. Great racing.
Yeah, and Eric Biggs has decided to come in and take his mandatory pit stop after that.
And you also have Alexis Molina also sat in pit lane. Joseph Ottofaro is down in pit lane. With Michael Grissner also down on pit road. So very, very interesting action throughout the MX-5 fields. Out front in the Ford Mustang, Trace McRae is your leader by 4.5 seconds over Oscar Sarlin, with Matt Ferris currently sat in 1st, Steve Brown in 4th, still putting pressure on Matt Ferris in the battle for the 3rd position, with Jody Bogardman right there, ready to make a move should any of the 2 drivers ahead of him give any form of opportunity. I tell you what, Bogardman was a very, very good run through the carousel that time. but he's going to possibly lose a little bit of momentum as they come down into the kink. And the kink is so difficult in the Ford Mustangs. You see a couple of drivers having to tap the brakes a little bit there. This is going to give Bogard the opportunity. He moves to try and make a drafting maneuver down the inside as they come down towards Canada Corner. He is lining up Steve Brown down on the inside. He's going to be last on the late breakers. It does look as though Bogard didn't get the job done there, as he should have tried to do the same as it happened just a lap ago for the MX-5s, but not going to try and make a move on the outside this time. Steve Brown lives to fight another day.
Yeah, I thought he might have got a better drive to try and go around the outside, but these guys are really closely matched. It will be it's all who's not going to make the mistake.
So we're completing lap 5 here in this 90-minute race, the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series on Glacier TV. Trace McRae is still your leader. Gap is up to 5 seconds over Oscar Sarlin in second position, with Matt Ferris a further 4 seconds behind in that three-way battle for third, fourth and fifth position. Jody Bogard are really looking racy in the fifth spot, just not being able to get a move done. But as we come down under the Briggs and Stanchion sign into turn number 2 again, let's see whether or not Bogard was going to get a nice run out the corner. As you see there, diving down the inside goes Steve Brown. Not going to get the job done, but now he should be able to try and get the draft going down this long back straightaway. And Bogard has also got the draft himself. This is going to get very interesting. Bogard was the first to move down to the inside, almost getting blocked there by Steve Brown. He knows they're side by side now. Which way is going to happen? Looks as though, again, Bogard was not quite going to get the job done.
Yeah, I think he's taking it a little bit too cautious. He didn't want to throw it down the inside because he was, quite clearly he braked a lot earlier than the two guys in front.
And I have to, Joseph Ottafaro, he's currently sat all the way down 16th overall after making his pit stop, trying to charge his way through some of these Mazda MX-5s. Eric Biggs is putting a little bit of pressure on Hang Tao, and this is the battle further back on the racetrack. Currently 24th and 24th overall, as you see there, the Ford Mustang just driving straight past these. That meant that Eric Briggs had to wait a little bit to try and make the move. He's now down on the inside on that number 16 machine. They're going to be too wide coming down into turn number 1. Biggs has definitely got the racing line, but Hang Hotel not giving anything up as he tried to make the outside line work. I see that car on the wall, sorry. That is Anthony Turman, who collects Jason Beifogel. 2 cars involved. We could be putting ourselves under caution in just a matter of moments' time with 2 cars stranded on the racetrack. Caution is out.
Wow, this is turning out to be a really exciting race, and now with the caution flags out, this is going to bring the field all bunched up together.
So Antti Turman coming through turn number 1 on lap 6 in the number 19 machine, just getting it a little bit loose on the curbs. And you saw just so often at Road America, that is exactly what happens. There's a very fine line between the edge of the curb and the grass. And if you just get yourself, a couple of inches too far to the left, as you're looking on your replay now from the chopper cam, then just getting yourself onto the dirt, and as you try and straighten the car out, you just get snap oversteer. And Antti Turman, very, very lucky to avoid himself hitting Joseph Ottafaro, and literally a foot between those 2 cars as Turman came back across the racetrack.
Yeah, it's a classic mistake. Get the left rear onto the dirt, keeping the foot in, and it just spins up and it's going to put you into the wall, unfortunately. It was...
So Trace...
Sorry mate, that was lucky not to be other cars involved in that.
Oh yeah, if they'd hit Ottafaro, that track would have been completely blocked, and that would have meant some very scary moments. A couple of drivers getting the wave around to put themselves back on the lead lap. They get the wave around so early here, just because of the amount of time it takes to drive around the racetrack and get themselves back towards the pacing field. With the speed the pace car goes and the speed the Mazda MX-5s can achieve, the pace car speed is still 65, 70 miles an hour here at times. So that means the Mazda MX-5s has to be very, very careful that they have to drive so quickly but not put it into the wall as they try and re-catch up the pace field. I was just getting from Yoni that the number 34 machine, that is the MX5 driver, I believe. Sorry, I need to just double check that. But yeah, the number 34 machine literally driving the entirety of the back straightaway. That is Jason Bifogel on the grass before turn number 8. Very interesting to watch him do that. In the number 34, his car's got some severe damage. He's trying to bring it down pit lane. But the longer he drives his car around the racetrack at a slow speed, it's going to be even harder for him to re-catch up the pace field.
Yeah, he was involved in the accident, so he's got some heavy steering damage, so we'll be taking his time trying to get his car safely back to the pits and see if we can get it repaired.
I have to say though, David, as the user of car number 69 quite often, you must be quite happy to see a fellow 69 user, Trace McRae, leading the way in the Mustang division.
It's a lucky number. I think that he should change his lime green to maybe a shade of pink.
Salmon pink by any chance?
Yeah, we could go with salmon pink.
David Ward, part of the newly formed Pink and Brown Collaborative. We'll tell you more about that later on. So pit lane is open. Expect to see a couple of these drivers come down pit lane, especially the Mazda MX-5s. I believe the Ford Mustangs are going to come down as well. It's a pace car bringing the field through Canada Corner. These pace car laps do take quite a while. It's always interesting to see how much grip the safety car has. Never seems to lose any speed at all.
No, it's the driver. It's you can see he's fully in control of the pace car there.
Some say.
Some say.
Yeah, all we know is it's not the Stig, it's iRacing Stig American cousin. But as you see, Trace McRae now, he's looking to the right-hand side. He's going to bring the field down pit lane. Looks as though pretty much all the field is going to come down pit lane with him. You see all of the Mustangs coming down, I think except for one driver staying out on the racetrack. And that is Stephen McPherson. He's staying out on the racetrack. So he's going to inherit the race lead momentarily.
Yeah, all the Mustangs have come into the pits, followed by some of the MX-5 drivers, so it's going to be quite busy down there.
And for the rest of the MX-5 drivers, I'm currently looking at Ryan Hawley. He is still down on the back straightaway, coming down into Canada Corner at the moment. And if he's going to come down pit lane, it's going to take him a long time. So he actually goes onto the grass there, desperately trying to get himself down towards pit lane to get his service done. So a good number of the MX-5s, John Montoya, Jaime Furega, all down pit lane, Alexis Molina, Hango Tao, Eric Biggs, Stephanie Murrian, down on the front trailer momentarily. Meanwhile, the race out of pit road, very, very busy there. See Trace McRae losing out to Matt Ferris, I believe. That was a crazy exit out of pit lane. As there were 3 wide coming out, you had Matt Ferris in the middle, Jody Bogardman on the outside. Bogardman, how he didn't hit the wall is beyond me, but he lost out, and Matt Ferris and Trace McRae side by side. It looked as though Ferris almost got the job done, but looking by the timing lines, it looks as though that Trace McRae was just about given the place over him, just
over Oscar there. It's like, whoa, half second in it.
But Oscar Smith is going to be leading the field at the present as they go to re-catch up the pace car. Stephen Brown, Joseph Ottafaro, Arthur Chan, and Stephen McPherson all on the racetrack. So Stephen McPherson will be leading the Ford Mustang division back to green flag racing, with Arthur Chan leading the way in the Mazda MX-5s. Joseph Ottafaro currently sat in second in the Mustang division, with Steve Brown in third, Oscar Sarlin in fourth, Trace McRae in fifth, and then in the MX-5 division you have Fabian Vidal, who's currently sat second in class. And then you have to go all the way back to Matthew Reinhold in third, Giancarlo Lenzi in fourth, and Stefan Morian currently sat in fifth.
Yeah, Arthur Chan sitting second behind Stephen McPherson in the Mustang behind the pace car.
So that number 43 machine is Stephen McPherson, a big gainer during this round of pit stops. I believe he pitted earlier on, so when all the other drivers came down pit lane behind the pace car, he was able to inherit the race lead. So that's a good thing for him. But don't forget that Trace McRae in the number 69 machine was leading the field by 5 seconds before we went under caution. So expect that 69 machine to come charging through the field again. And David, how difficult is it when you're under these caution periods and you're in a car like the MX-5 where you've really got to still be on it all the way through just to be able to get yourself back into contention by catching up to the pace car, when all you want to do is relax for a moment and you can't even pass the driver ahead of you?
It's you're just going to be on it all the time, constantly. There's nothing you can do about it. The thing is, though, is that if you're a Mustang behind one of the slower MX-5s, oh no, I'm sorry, Stephen's just come into the pits now, so he didn't pit earlier.
I'm sure he came down pit lane earlier on. I'm having a look back through his laps, and no, he didn't. I take that back. So he is down pit lane now. So
this is really going to hurt him because that whole field is just going to go all by him.
Very, very bad timing by Stefan McPherson, whether he just wanted to lead a lap or not. But this is going to be disastrous for him, because not only is he going to have to get himself around all the Mustangs to get himself back into contention, there's so many of the Mazda MX-5s as well which he's got to get around. And I'm just having a look at the moment, but I've got a feeling that the lights are out on the pace car, so we're going to be going back to green flag racing this time by as well. Arthur Chan is going to be leading the way to green flag racing in the Mazda MX-5, with Stefan Morin currently sat in second. The first of the Ford Mustangs is Joseph Ottafaro. This is going to be one crazy restart here.
This is going to be nuts because the Mustangs are going to want to get past the MX-5s as quick as possible, but then you've got the MX-5s racing each other, so they're going to be going too wide. Oh, it's going to be good fun to watch this restart.
Don't forget, the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series is sponsored by Safecraft Racing, your home for safety harnesses, belts and head nets. Drive fast and be safe with Safecraft Racing.
Okay, we've got a few more cars having a wave around as well, so yeah, that's taken them 2 laps to basically get the wave around.
So they are going to have to charge, and let's not forget the pace speed of the pace car at the moment is 60 miles an hour, and in the corners some of these drivers are only doing 55-60 miles an hour, and the poor little Mazda MX-5s can only really get themselves up to about 120 miles an hour. So it takes them, as you see, Michael Grinson trying to catch back up in a car which has some right side damage to it, really struggling here. And as you're talking about the Ford Mustang wanting to get a move on but sat behind the MX-5, Alexis Molina is catching that Mazda MX-5, but it's got no opportunity to pass him when he does. So the pace car currently in the carousel. This is going to be one crazy restart. Just having a look through the field to see how many drivers are still sat on pit lane. You have Antti Turenman, he's currently on pit lane with Jason Beifogel as well. Matt Ferris is charging to try and catch up the pace car. He is about 15 seconds behind the pace car as he's just coming into the carousel at the moment. Going to be very, very interesting this restart, David.
I just hope that it's not like that age-old saying of cautions breed cautions.
Yep. As a legend known as Darrell Waltrip said, you never know what could happen here. As you see a couple of the MX-5 drivers warming their tyres up, and hopefully the MX-5s will just allow the Mustangs to get past them down these long straightaways and just go too wide racing, you know, once the field is kind of clear.
Yeah, looks like some of the Mustangs have just letting the MX-5s go ahead. Arthur Chan's getting ready to go for this one.
So Arthur Chan is going to lead the field back to Green Flag Racing in that number 50 Mazda Speed Mazda, with Stephanie Moria in the doghouse number 57 machine right behind him. First of the Mustangs is the number 87 of Joseph Atafaro, as the pace car making that hard turn once again down into pit lane. Don't forget, the Mustang cannot pass the Mazdas and before they get past the start finish line. So we're at pace speed now. Green flag is going to be in the air now, and as you see, automatically Joseph Ottafaro starting to build up speed. He's looking like he's going to get himself ahead of both the MX-5s coming down to turn number 1. That's going to be hugely satisfying for him, and just see how fast the Mustangs are coming down to turn number 1, as they're almost 3 wide going into turn 1 there. Ayrton Ellis looking around, and David Waters. That is the battle for 6th and 7th position. Somehow everyone's been able to get through okay. Oscar Sardin going down on the inside of Joseph Ottafaro. Somehow he's managed to lose himself two positions in that mess.
There's a spinner. He's gone off into the gravel. I just seen him in the back of the picture.
We'll have a look, try and figure out who that is in just a matter of moments. But Oscar Sarlin is leading the race now in the number 84 TBR machine, with Trace McRae looking as though he's trying to make a move on the outside of him. I'll take that back. So Steve Brown is your race leader, with Oscar Sarlin in 2nd, Trace McRae in 3rd, Joseph Atafaro in 4th, Jada Bogarden we're in the 5th spot with David Waters in 6th. And then the first of the Mazda MX-5s is Arthur Chan, the number 50 machine. Russell Clayson charging hard though.
It was Ayrton Ellis spun round on turn 2.
We stay under green flag conditions for the moment, which is useful because I think the field would have a heart attack if they had to go through that all over again. Edmund Hirschberger having a look down the inside of the MX-5 and cuts him off there. That is Flavien Vidal, and then Hirschberger getting very sideways. That is going to allow Giancarlo Lenzi to get past him into the carousel. And this is going to be interesting coming down the back straightaway. Some of these Ford Mustang drivers are in a real hurry. You see Hirschberger almost bump drafting Lenzi out the corner there, looking down to the inside as they come through the kink. He's going to get himself clear, but then he's got Flavien Vidal. He's going to be catching so quickly. You see Carl on the grass ahead of him. That is Arthur Chan.
Arthur Chan going very wide, just skimming the wall.
That is not a place in a racetrack where you want to go wide at all. The walls are so close.
Yeah, that's through that fast kink. If you're keeping your foot in, you can just drift wide. If you hit the curb on the inside, you can end up just drifting wide, and it'll put you onto the grass. So, best thing is just lift off the accelerator and just try and keep it off the wall.
Alternative scenario, just close your eyes and hope to God you see Russell Clayton. He is looking down to the inside of Joseph Ottafaro, who had a horrible first lap as we went back to green flag racing. Clayton up the hill, drag race, looks as though he's not going to be close enough just yet. Just tucked back into the draft, he'd have a better opportunity, but it just seems as though he wants to race too wide for the moment, even though he's got no hope of the draft. Now he pulls back down to the inside, and we have a crash on the main straightaway, and we're looking back to see who that is. And so, big crash, big crash, 4, 5, 6 drivers involved. Caution is going to be out on the speedway, and it was Matthew Reinhold originally that was involved with Bill Daly, and just having a look back to see exactly what happened, but it started off all the way back as they came up the hill, and Bill Daly looks as though he caught Giancarlo Lenzi in the 02 car. He then spun around the racetrack. At the same time, Matt Ferris and Matthew Reinhold got together. Matthew Reinhold spinning again on the racetrack. Then you had Matt Ferris again, just somehow managed to keep it going. Matthew Reinhold in the wall. Bill Daly slowing down, didn't hit him, but then behind him, drama as Matthew Reinhold tries to reverse his car, and carnage unfolding behind him.
I'm really not sure what was going on there. It looks like the MX-5 was squeezing the Mustang for whatever reason, and yeah, put him into the wall. So, very strange.
A number of drivers were involved in that. Stephanie Morial is also involved, and having a look back to see just how many cars were involved in some way, shape or form. But it looks so John Montoya just able to get through. Bill Daly was sat down pit road at the moment, and Wayne Hawley looks so he just was able to get through. But Ayrton Ellis, Wes Eric, Matthew Reinhold, Stephanie Moriarty, Stephen McPherson, they were all involved in that wreck, as David Wyman was just able to get past. But for a number of drivers, that is their race pretty much over.
Yeah, Matt Ferris was one of the lucky Mustangs that went to avoid it, and I'm just looking now, and we've got Bill Daly grinding his car along the side of the wall. Matt Ferris, so lucky just to get away with probably a little bit of damage, and then we've got Matthew Rhino, MX-5 spun around about 10 times, huge damage, and then he got ploughed into by some of the other Mustangs, unfortunately.
And that's one of the characteristics of Road America, is that on the straight parts of this racetrack, there is absolutely no gap between the racing surface and the walls at all. Pretty much in all of the main straightaways, down the second straightaway coming down into turn number 5, on the back straightaway through the kink down into Canada, and the front stretch, there's pretty much a car width on either side if you wanted to park your car, and that's it.
I don't understand why the MX-5 was squeezing the Mustang. There was absolutely no need for it. Maybe he didn't see him. The Mustangs do come up quite quickly.
Yeah, and the speed differential between the Mazda MX-5s and the Ford Mustangs is, unless you want it to be pushed around the racetrack, literally, there's absolutely no point in trying to get in their way.
Yeah, it just seems as though he's drifting across and not paying attention.
So, as you can see, there's a number of replays there from different angles, trying out some new features, and it seems to be going really well. Yadi's having a tremendous load of fun. But field under its second caution of the day, as we are about 33 minutes in to the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series here at Road Atlanta. And tell you what, that was a crazy part of the race there. But some big names like Giancarlo Lenzi involved in that crash, who are doing strong for the championship, but their evening is pretty much ruined at the moment.
Yeah, are they going to try and get repaired in the pits and see if they can at least salvage something from this race?
A number of cars are currently sat down pit lane. Giancarlo Lenzi looks like he's been able to get himself back onto the racetrack. Stefan Moriarty, I believe, was involved in the wreck earlier on, so he is now out of the race. For the moment, he's taking a tow, I believe. Stephen McPherson is now a retirement in this race. And just having a look back through the field, you've got Jason Beifogel. He's currently sat 3 laps down. Antti Turunen is currently also sat 3 laps down. And for these drivers, even if you get the wave around at this track, trying to gain 3 laps up under caution is almost impossible.
Yeah, unless you get a wave around. But having said that, we've already seen 2 cautions, and so quite early on in the race. So guys might be able to get a few of those laps back.
In the MX-5 division, Arthur Chan is leading the way from Flavien Vidal. Hango Tao is in 3rd position, Wayne Worley in 4th, Eric Biggs in 5th. Giancarlo Lenzi currently scores as the last driver on the lead lap, all the way down in 13th position. That is not the position that the 02 car wants to be in, as he is really looking for a big haul in points again this race. However, for that number 50 machine of Arthur Chan, he was very, very intelligent at the start on that restart, just letting the Ford Mustangs get past him and not get in their way too much.
Yeah, he just pulled over to the side and let the Mustangs do their thing. They're gonna come by you on the straights nice and easily. So, why make it difficult for them?
And that is one of the issues with having these cars mixed up on restarts. And one of the issues of single file restarts as well is that it doesn't put people to the rear or re-grid them up. And it does make for interesting restarts, but at the end of the day, I think personally the main thing is always safety beat. In real racing, in simulated racing, having the field bunched together like that, whilst it might be entertaining to see MX-5s charging away through some the Mustang charging away through the MX-5s. When the field is tightly packed as that, it always leads to drama, as we saw on that caution.
Yeah, and also that you've got drivers of different abilities as well. So, and that's also going to play a big part in some of these issues. But we'll see how this restart goes. Hopefully, we won't have any more crashes, and we can have nice green flag racing all the way to the end.
And as a driver who races quite often in endurance racing, you don't have to deal with caution too much. So your biggest kind of breathing time is while you're sat in pit lane. But how much of a momentum breaker is it going to be for some of these drivers?
Oh, huge! It's, you know, you get into a rhythm when you're on the track, and if that, even when you're going through traffic, if that rhythm gets broken, it's very difficult to get back up to speed again. And this basically up and down yo-yoing of being up at race speed, slowing down again, it's really going to play havoc. And fair play to the guys that can do this. It's very, very difficult to get back up to race speed again, because don't forget, your tyres are going to have started cooling down, fuel levels have all changed. So yeah, it's definitely a skill.
And you see a couple of the MX-5s getting the wave around. Jason Brofogel, one of those drivers who are just streaming past the Ford Mustangs. It's not going to be quite often in this race that you really get the opportunity to do that. And as you see there, just looking at the cars stream through turn number 5, coming up the hill through the Corvette Bridge. I love that Corvette Bridge, but it's such a difficult corner for the drivers to navigate their way through.
Yeah, the reason is because it's blind, and you're also going, your braking point is at the top of the hill, so as your car comes up to the crest, you're braking, the car becomes a little bit light, and it's quite easy to lock a wheel up there and go straight on.
So there's a Antti Tuoman also got the wave around. Lights are still on the pace car, so we are going to be under caution for at least another lap and a half. And thankfully we have a Ford Mustang leading the way. Steve Brown will be bringing the field back to green flag racing in a little bit.
Yeah, the biggest loser there was Trace McRae on the last restart. I thought he would have come away with a better position, but the race is long and he's got the pace, so it's going to be these 4 guys again.
As you saw there, looking through the angles that you see in the Mazda MX-5 car just a minute ago, some awesome camera work going on by our Glacier TV broadcasters today here in the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series. We're currently working our second caution of the evening. Steve Brown is your leader in the Ford Mustang division, with Oscar Sarnon in second, Trace McRae in third, JD Bogardman in fourth, David Waters in fifth, Russell Clayton in sixth, Joseph Ottafaro in seventh, Edmund Heichberger in 8th, Matt Ferris in 9th, and Ayrton Ellis in 10th. And then in the Mazda MX-5 Cup division, Arthur Chan is leading the way from Flavien Vidal, Hang Hu Tao in 3rd, Ryan Hawley in 4th, Eric Biggs in 5th, Jaime Ferreira in 6th, Jean Montoya in 7th, Wes Eric in 8th, David Whammond in 9th, and Tom Ecklein in 10th. So lights are out the pace car. We're going to go back to green flag racing in just, I would say, just a matter of moments. The pace lap here is 4 minutes and a couple of seconds. So we've still got a long time under this caution to go. And some of the biggest opportunities to pass is coming into turn number 1, which we're just looking at now. And turn number 1, it's, you know, you can go too wide here. But if you're the driver on the outside, as we saw, which caused the first caution of the day, you've got to be so careful on that outside curb, because it literally just stops and all of a sudden you're on the dirt and gravel.
Yeah, it's going to be so easy just just to get pushed off, or if you're on the outside going too wide there, and just spin up on the dirt and put it into the tyres. Hopefully now we've got the Mustangs up front, we'll be getting they'll all be going single file through there, nice and safe.
And then as we come down the back straight away, you just see how close the walls are to each other. And turn number 2 is one of the points where you have one of the largest runoff areas on the racetrack. And now as they come down towards the first major braking zone on the racetrack, you're always keeping an eye on the right hand side to see exactly where your braking zone is. You can run on that grey on the outside if you're very careful. You've got a nice runoff on the exit as well if you do make a little bit of a mistake. Then as you come up underneath the Corvette bridge, one of the things I always notice that it's a very blind apex corner. You don't realise until you're actually racing it yourself, just that you can't really see a turning point until you're actually in the corner.
You kind of take your turning point of as soon as you just appear over the top of the crest and turn, and first time that you do it, you kind of hope that the corner's still there, like it wouldn't have moved or anything, but you hope it's still there and hit your apex and put the power down again.
And then as they come under the Speedville Bridge, this is always that point where I use that as a marker point to try and set drivers up. It's like, okay, I know I'm into the carousel now. It's not necessarily speed coming through the first part of the carousel that's important. It's how you get the run off the carousel. As you see, you can use that little rumble strip on the left hand side for a little bit of extra track room should you need it. Doesn't really cost you too much. Then you really got to get yourself a nice line coming down into that right hand kink. Don't want to use the curb here really at all unless you're really brave on the inside. You can use one on the outside a little bit again, but don't run it too wide because you end up going onto the dirt and the gravel and the grass, and that inside retaining wall is so dangerous. And I remember back in the Talk Freak Racing Super Cup earlier this season, coming down into Canada Corner, one of the biggest wrecks of the race didn't actually happen in the corner, it happened approaching it.
Yeah, that was. I remember that wreck. I wasn't a part of it. It was in my peripheral vision.
And then this final sector of the racetrack, beautiful off-camber corner, that you see just as they come through the corner just appears more and more as you come, and then just a little bit of a gradient coming down. I always, when I race in this track, it always seems to be I have to brake on the darkest part of the asphalt, which really does like to upset the car a little bit. As you see, the pace car is once again going to make that dart down pit road. Steve Brown bringing the cars up the hill at pace speed. And as he comes under the Caterpillar Bridge, starting to accelerate a little bit now. And we are back to green flag racing. And Oscar Sargent is immediately going to have a look to see whether he can take on the lead. But keep an eye on Trace McRae as they come down towards turn number 1. Trace McRae was the leader for the first part of this race. He really wants to get himself a move on as they come down into turn number 1. Single file for the most part in the Ford Mustangs. However, back in the MX-5 division, 2 wide is Arthur Chan, losing a position there to Flavien Vidal.
Yeah, the MX-5s are going racy again, and we've got Arthur Chan pulling out quite... Oh no, sorry. When did he lose that place? Where did he lose that?
I have no idea. Oh, he lost it into turn number 1, sorry. Jaime Ferreira, I am going to pronounce his name, I really apologise, Jaime. He's lost himself 2 positions already. He lost a position to Ryan Hawley into turn number 2.
Eric Biggs is going 3 wide down into the left-hander right now. This is going to be nuts.
Thankfully, discretion was the better part of valour for Eric Briggs, managing to just didn't get the chance to gain that position over Jaime Ferreira in the number 67 machine, but Big still looking very racy as Hango Towers managed to make himself 1 position on this restart. Wanoli has moved himself up to 3rd in class. You see ahead, they're going 2 wide. Joseph Ottafaro with Edmund Harshberger on the outside. This isn't going to end up too well if they're not careful. Edmund Harshberger getting a very good run off the corner. He's going to take the position from Joseph Ottafaro as he then has the inside lines to come into the carousel. Ottafaro getting himself a little bit squirrely in the middle of the apex. and in the back for the lead. Trace McRae, now he's going to get a very good run coming out of the kink. This is going to be a chance for him to try and make a dive down the inside into Canada corner, as we're currently looking. Is he just looking down to the inside now? Is he going to be able to brake late enough? Yes,
Yeah.
he is. Beautiful pass. That is how you set a car up into Canada corner. And his next victim is going to be for the lead on the number 82 machine of Steve Brown.
Has Trace got some damage on his car?
Looks like he's got the slightest amount of damage, but it doesn't seem to be stopping him at all.
It's certainly not slowing him down at all as he exits
Caution
onto
is
the
out.
start and finish straight.
Nope.
Caution
Yep,
out
caution
again?
is out. Caution is out again. And that was a wreck at Canada corner. Having a look back to see exactly what happened there.
Someone's been sent to Canada.
We've talked about how it is a dangerous place on the racetrack, and there was Giancarlo Lenzi involved again, Bill Daly involved, Matt Ferris involved. Just going to have another closer look at the incident, and it was down with John Montoya, by the look of it, having a look down in the MX-5, trying to outbrake the Ford Mustang of Matt Ferris, who's getting held up ever so slightly by the battle with Eric Biggs and Jaime Farega on the racetrack. And then John Montoya just literally running into the side of the number 24 machine of Matt Ferris. And as the cars are spinning around on the racetrack, behind him, carnage starting to evolve. Alexis Molina managing to get through okay, but then as the car's coming around, whereas Eric was able to get away, but Bill Daly simultaneously, he got hit by Giancarlo Lenzi as the field trying to sort himself out. Lenzi getting himself more damage to his race car, but caution is out, and once again 4 cars involved in what's proving to be a very problematic race for some of these drivers.
Yeah, it just looks like Montoya outbraked himself and locked up, but he had the steering wheel fully cranked to the right, and car was going straight.
That's one of the things. If you lock the brakes up in these MX-5s, there is a portion of the time when, you know, you try and slam the brakes, you lock all 4 wheels up, and there's just no that you're going to need to steer. And into a tight corner like that, you almost have absolutely nothing that you can do.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing. Even you've got to be, it's kind of like getting onto that threshold braking where you're just on the verge of the wheels kind of like just locking up, but as soon as your wheels lock up, you are not slowing down. To slow down quickly, you need the tyre to be rotating still.
And on a track that's so narrow as this, and with a car on your left-hand side, it's very difficult for, you know, you to be able to do anything. You can't get yourself onto the grass because all you're going to do is cause an even bigger wreck, and it's a case of almost just bracing for impact.
Yeah, it's well, yeah, with the walls being so close everywhere. You look at the cameras on here and you can see that the walls are close, but when you're actually racing, it feels like the walls are literally like a few meters away from you.
And in so many aspects like that, Road America has a very street circuit feel to it, on the fact that so many portions of this racetrack are so unforgiving.
Oh yeah, completely. It's like one slightest mistake and you're going to be touching the grass and most likely end up in the wall and collect a few other people with you. It's such a shame that it's just cautions breeding cautions, unfortunately, especially at a track like this with the speed differentials between the 2 cars.
So, for those of you just tuning in, welcome to the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series, sponsored by Safecraft Racing, here from Road America on Glacier TV. Safecraft Racing is your home for safety harnesses, belts and head necks. Drive fast and be safe with Safecraft Racing. And I tell you what, some of these drivers really could do with some of this safety harnesses and belts and head nets sort of stuff, because there's been some very, very violent crashes.
Yeah, there's been some big crashes. Some of them could have been avoided, others that were just driver errors.
And especially on a track like this, do you approach it with the fact that there's so little room for error if you get off the racetrack in a slightly different way, that you almost let yourself brake a little bit earlier to avoid moments like we saw with Montoya, which caused the last caution.
Yeah, especially if when you're in a field and you're driving, even with the GT40s that we race with the Vetters, it's if you're coming up behind one of those, you always brake early, even if it's a couple of yards, just so you don't end up running into the back of them. But again, it is so easy to lock up your brakes and go sliding into someone, even if you're not trying to outbrake them.
And don't forget, tomorrow on Glacier TV, round 8 of the Afterbird IndyCar Series will be coming to you from Dover International Speedway, the Dover 400k on Glacier TV tomorrow. And the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series will be back in a couple of weeks as well. Looking forward again to the great endurance racing with these two classes here on Glacier TV.
Speaking of the IndyCar, I think I'll be racing at Dover tomorrow in that series. Be my first time round the driving round in circles.
Typical Englishman, always talking about driving around in circles on an oval. And and say the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series will be back on May the 5th, so that is 2 weeks from today, and that will be at Watkins Glen International Raceway. And that, I'll tell you what, David, will be an amazing race with just the speed of the first sector combined with some of the other parts of this racetrack.
Are they running it with the chicane?
It doesn't say. If they have the chicane on, that is going to be really, really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Both layouts offer some very unique opportunities. With the chicane, that big braking zone, and then the momentum you carry out of there, down through the carousel, into the boot section of the racetrack is one very, very tough challenge. However, without the chicane, you have yourself pretty much a half-mile drag strip going down into the carousel, which offers itself its own unique set of challenges.
Yeah, I think that if they have the chicane, it will be the MX-5s that will be a lot nimbler through there than the big boat-like Mustangs.
And as we saw so much with the HPD, the Corvettes, and the Ford GTs earlier on this season when they ran in the multi-class, it's almost a case of the Corvettes can get themselves ahead, and then up the hill through the first couple of corners, but then as soon as they come to the chicane, they're just so early on the brakes, you just see the more nimble cars just streaming right past them again.
Yeah, it's you don't get that at Road America though, only because we've got the big long straights here. So
we're still under caution here for the third time at Road America to run through your field, as I believe they're going to come down to get the one to go this time by in the Ford Mustang division. Your race leader is Steve Brown in the number 82 machine. Trace McRae, he's moved himself up into the second position. A beautiful maneuver on Oscar Salin on the last restart. And then in fourth position, Jody Bogardimer with David Waters in fifth, Russell Clayton in sixth, Edmund Harshberger in seventh, Joseph Ossifaro in eighth, Alexis Molina in ninth, and Ayrton Ellis in 10th, with Bill Daly and Matt Ferris bringing up the last part of your field. Stefan McPherson is your single retirement in the Ford Mustang division. And then in the Mazda MX-5, Flavien Vidal is duo race leader. Arthur Chan dropped back into the second position with Ryan Hawley in third, Hango Tao in fourth, Jaime Ferreira in fifth, Eric Biggs in sixth, Wes Eric in seventh, Tom Etkin in eighth, Mathil Gleisner in ninth, David Wamwood in 10th, and Carlo Lenzi in 11th, and then you have cars with Jean Montoya, Jason Beifogel, Antti Turman, and Matthew Reinhold. Antti Turman. They are all trying to get back onto the lead lap. Matthew Reinhold and Stefan Morian, they are both out of the race.
Well, this is going to help Trace McRae a little bit more, because now he's right behind Steve Brown, so he can get back his first place hopefully on the start.
Yeah, that number 69 machine of Trace McRae looking very, very racy. For a driver who's so experienced in this car, these restarts are going to do little to phase him at all, and what it means is that he can be... Brown's going to have to be very careful to not lose a lead. You've got some very, very demanding corners in the early part of this lap, and if he doesn't make a move into turn number 1, Trace McRae, he's got the option of turn 2, down the hill into turn number 3, or he can make a move pretty much any other point under the Corvette bridge, all the way up through around the carousel.
Yeah, I think he's just going to sit behind him and show himself in his mirrors and just try and distract him, get him to make the mistake. I've just been looking through the field now. We've got all the Mustangs grouped together up front, and then we have the rest of the MX-5s behind with Alex, Malini, just mixing it in with the MX-5. So this should be okay now. We should have a nice clean start.
So we've got ourselves a little over half an hour here in the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series from Road America. Beautiful, beautiful racetrack here at Road America. Exactly 4 miles in length in the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series. Round number... I'm going to get this right this time. So round number 6, I got confused there. Round number 6 here at Road America of 10 in the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series. It's not my fault. It's 1:41 in the morning, and we're both tired. Steve Brown leading the way from Trace McRae and Oscar Simon rounding out your top 3. And now that these cars are grouped back together by class, hopefully we can get ourselves a little bit more green flag racing. But after 3 cautions on this racetrack, these drivers have really got to be a bit careful, let the field settle down for a couple of laps.
Yeah, this is the problem, you see. You've been up at race speed and then you come back down and then you've got to pick yourself up again and get all your braking points right, and you just get your mind set again to start racing. So some of the guys might be finding this a little bit difficult.
So coming under the big Holher sign, the pace car coming through the final corner now. Once again, going to make that dart down pit road. Put them on standby, top them up with some local race gas just in case. As you see there, Steve Brown now is in charge of the field, bringing the field underneath the Caterpillar Bridge, and he is going to have to be very careful as he comes to bring the field back up to green flag racing. Keep an eye on your mirrors, Steve Brown, because you've got Trace McRae right behind you as we are back to green.
Oh, and Steve Brown's gone defensive immediately, just taken the inside on the start and finish straight. That's going to force Trace McRae just to think a little bit more about where he's going to overtake him.
As Trace McRae looks like he got a little bit of momentum coming out of turn number 1. Let's see if we can use anything here out of turn 2 to try and get a drive. Looks like he got some very good drive there, but I'm not sure if he's quite close enough to really try and make a move as they come down the back straightaway under the Santiago Bridge. Not quite close enough, I don't think, unless he's going to make a really, really, really good move.
No, I don't think he's going to try and outbrake him there.
So the Ford Mustang is currently all separated by less than 5 seconds on the racetrack, with the exception of Alexis Molina, who's trying to find his way around Flavien Vidal, who gets himself onto the grass. This is going to cause the field to bunch up a little bit behind him. Ryan Hawley, he's come under pressure from Arthur Chan, but it looks as though Ryan Hawley's been able to get the job done. Hango Tao is looking to put a bit of pressure on that 50 machine as well. And let's not forget Matt Ferris is trying to charge through the field at the same time. Jaime Ferreira has just been passed by that Ford Mustang, and the MX-5 division still looking very, very racy.
Yeah, it looks like Trace McRae is going to set him up for going down into Canada if he can get a good drive off the kink.
2 wide on the MX-5s going through the carousel. You've got Arthur Chan, who's just finally dropped in behind Ryan Worley. Looks like Chan's trying to have a look down on the outside lane as you have 2 wide Flavien Vidal as he was getting overtaken by Alexis Molina. Very, very careful. As you see that, Trace McRae looking down to the inside. Is he going to get the job done? Oh! Is he going to try and push him off wide, though? He does.
No, he
Trace
does.
McRae now looking to the outside. Is he going to get the job done? Yes, he's clear coming into the penultimate corner. Great offensive driving there by McRae. knew he wasn't necessarily going to get the job done himself, but pressurising Steve Brown into a mistake, and that is beautiful offensive driving.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Forced a little bit of a gap into going into Canada. Nudged him a little bit out onto the dirt, but managed to drive it around the outside. Fantastic overtaking.
So Trace McRae back into the lead here at Road America. Oscar Sargent is currently sat third in class. Whilst everything's going on behind him, Flavien Vidal looks as though he's got himself a little bit of a gap with Ryan Ward. He's currently sat in second, still under pressure from Arthur Chan. Let's see if Chan can try and make a move as they come down the back, around the back straightaway. It doesn't look as though he's quite close enough though. And behind, there's a couple of damaged race cars. See Giancarlo Lenzi going slowly, and Wes Eric also going slowly on the racetrack. There's almost a disabled race going on behind the able-bodied card race.
Yeah, there's been a lot of damage in this race, so hopefully that's the end of it and we can get all the way to the finish without any more cautions. Trace McRae's, yeah, he's awesome. I think my money's on this guy to win this race.
Yeah, as you see, Trace McRae is still your race leader as we're keeping our attention on the Ford Mustang division just for the moment. Behind him, it's all still going wild. I see that Matt Ferris, he is trying to make a move on Jason Osterferro after he gets himself onto the grass. Ferris getting himself a good run through the carousel, but now he needs to time himself to see exactly when he's going to get the job done. The two almost touch coming up the corner. Now Ferris, he's looking down to the inside, but he just gets off the gas a little bit there. He knows how dangerous it is to make a move into the kink. As soon as these drivers are fighting literally over 10th position, he just waited until after the kink. Now he's diving down the inside of Jason Osterferro in that number 87 machine. And there we are, job almost done, but no, Matt Ferris is backing out the throttle, and I don't know exactly what happened there.
No, Matt Ferris was involved in that huge crash on the start-finish straight, so I think he's got some damage on his car, and he's not quite sure about how it's going to be handling yet, so a few more laps, and yeah, he'll make up this position. He just doesn't want to throw it down the inside. A little bit of an unknown. Looks very twitchy, you can see it coming out of the last turn onto the straight.
Yes, so Trace McRae is now your race leader still in the Ford Mustang division. The gap is up to almost a second between himself and Steve Brown in second. Oscar Sargent is still looking racy in the third position in that number 84 machine, with J.D. Bogard and we're currently sat in fourth. Russell Clayson in the fifth spot. And then in the Mazda MX-5 division, Flavien Vidal, he seems to love chucking his car through turn 5, off the curb, literally through the gravel trap. Ryan Wally in second, Arthur Chan in third, Hango Tao in fourth, and Jaime Perego running out your top 5.
Yeah, Matt Ferris has just made that move going into turn 1, so his car's not overly damaged. I just don't think he wanted to throw it down the inside again, so because he can make up a lot of places.
As his car, that's David Wyman, taking the very long way through turn number 1, getting himself onto the gravel trap, onto the grass, having to be very careful with his steering as he had Jason Beifogel right behind him, and luckily he just didn't manage to get himself any of that oversteer that you see so often once you get onto the grass, which would have caused him to lose the car's control. Tom Elkin is just being overtaken by Eric Biggs on the racetrack. He's got Michael Greisner ahead of him. As you see, Eric Biggs having a look down on the outside into turn number 5. This is going to be a bold manoeuvre, and he somehow manages to make it work in that number 16 Oakley machine.
The battle for third in the Mustang class is hotting up. Trace McRae is basically... Sorry.
Jason Butterfire is off, just somehow managing to keep it off the wall. That is the corner just before they go under the Speedville Bridge, getting himself, just locking it up on the brakes, and just as he came back onto the racetrack, almost got himself sideways and missed the tyre barrier by a matter of inches there in that number 87 car, but then came right onto the racetrack with cars swarming to try and get around him as he was so twitchy for the carousel there.
Yeah, Matt Ferris has just made up another place as well, so yeah, his car's he's obviously worked out the little issues with his car and is steaming through the field.
As his battle for second position still hotting up well on the racetrack. That is between Steve Brown and Oscar Sarlin as she's side by side coming down into turn number 1. Oscar Sarlin on the inside. Who's going to be the last of the late breakers? They're both breaking at the same time. Oscar Sarlin managing to get the job done on the inside. Beautiful pass there to claim the second position over Steve Brown, who's lost himself 2 positions in the last 3 laps or so. But thankfully, he's got Russell Clayton about half a second behind him, so he has the opportunity to try and make a bit of a revenge attack if he can, as they come down this straightaway under the Santiago Bridge. And Steve Brown doing a very good job of trying to get himself back into position. Looking down to the right-hand side already. Is this a dummy? Is he trying to force Oscar Sarlin to try and run the right-hand side lane? Sarlin's having nothing of it. He's breaking just into his normal position and then just sweeping across the racetrack when it's possible to do so.
He's
But
going to cut him back. He's going to cut him back, try and get him under the bridge.
Is under the Corvette bridge now. I don't think Brown's quite close enough. He lost a bit of a momentum through the middle of the corner there. That has allowed Sarlin to breathe just for a couple of moments. But very good battle for second position there in the Ford GT class. Sorry, the Ford Mustang class.
Sometimes it's better to... you can have a switch back off turn 1, but you don't forget you've got the big long straight heading down into the left-hander, so let the guy have the turn and turn 1 and then try and fight him back as you go down the straight.
We have another retirement in the race momentarily. That is the number 3 machine of Ayrton Ellis, just coming up the hill after Canada corner into the penultimate corner. Looks like he just tried shifting down a little bit too early, and all of a sudden his engine just blew up. Weird moment for the 3 car.
Yeah, it's so easy to do in these cars as you're downshifting or get the wrong gear, and that's it, your engine's gone. Day over.
You see, being an IndyCar specialist myself, it's a bit weird for me. I'm not used to the fact that you can shift gear before you're allowed to. I think I've only ever blown up 1 engine in my life in the IndyCar, and that was a weird freak moment. However, Jaime Ferreira putting some really good pressure on Hang Tao. That is the battle for 4th position in the Mazda MX-5 division, with Ferreira getting a really good run there out of the kink, but not quite close enough to make a move. Unless he really is going to try and dive down the inside. I don't think he's anywhere near close enough, but potentially starting to line himself up for a pass in the last portion of this racetrack. As we're currently looking at, we've come of the number 67 of Jaime Ferreira. First race in the series, doing himself a sterling job. Currently sat 5th in class, as he's trying to close down the number 10 machine of Hang Tao. And let's be frank, that he's no slouch at all. And that beautifully painted livery there, the Victoria Harbour number 10 Mazda car.
I think the field's kind of settled down now, and since the 2 big cautions and the big crashes, it's maybe everyone's just decided, yeah, let's get these cars home in one piece.
As you say that, a bit of blocking going on there by Hang Tao, as he had the number 67 machine looking to try and make a pass. I'm sure that was 2 manoeuvres again by the number 10 car. And it wasn't him doing it earlier, but it was him doing it this time. It's the number 67 machine of Jaime Ferreira, losing all forms of momentum into turn number 1. And he's not going to be able to rebuild that up now for the next couple of corners, as ahead of him you've got a nice battle going on between Ryan Hawley, Arthur Chan and Flavien Vidal for the lead of the Mazda division.
Chan is definitely catching Vidal's. I've been watching their times. It's huge on the brakes, Chan. Look at the gap that he closes there.
And he's so perfectly able to run the curbs out of that corner as well. You see Vidal always getting himself a nice trail of tyre gravel smoke, but Arthur Chan just literally on the border of where he can run the maximum part of the curb, and that's going to come in very useful for him as he tries to make a manoeuvre. As you see there, he's just so much better on the brakes, this Chan, and if he can get a good run after the corner, especially as they're going to come through under Speedwell Bridge into the carousel, lost himself a little bit of momentum there in the number 50 machine, but he's still got a good chance of retaking the lead of this race. But he's got to be careful, because the number 33 machine of Ryan Hawley isn't very far behind.
Yeah, I just noticed that Ryan is really coming, but this is going to give, if these guys start fighting, this is going to give Vidal a chance to kind of like eke out a bit of a gap.
And we've got ourselves just over a little more than 15 minutes here in the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series, sponsored by Safecraft Racing on Glacier TV, round 6 of the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series. And this top 3 battle in the Mazda MX-5, this is far from over, as I think it's going to be a case of who's going to blink first, who's going to think, okay, this is enough of us running single file, let's go down and do some racing, we've got ourselves a big enough gap. Don't forget also the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series is sponsored by Safecraft Racing, your home for safety harnesses, belts and head nets. Drive fast, be safe with Safecraft Racing.
Trace McRae's absolutely just stormed away since he overtook Oscar, and we've got Steve Brown and Russell having a real close battle for third place.
Yeah, Trace McRae class of the field once again. The gap is up to 4.5 seconds between himself and the number 69 machine and Oscar Sarnen in second. Sarnen's got his rear view mirrors full of Steve Brown in the number 82 machine. He lost that position early on to Oscar Sarnen and wants it back desperately. Sorry, that is Russell Clayson and Steve Brown. I'll take that back.
Ryan is on the bumper of Chan right now. This is it's going to be the last of the late breakers down into the left-hander.
Yeah, last of the late breakers, it is going to be the 33 there. It does look there's a bit more blocking in the Mazda MX-5 division, and it doesn't look as though Wally is going to be able to just get the job done. But Vidal wasn't that good through the middle of the corner. Now Wally is going to get the other opportunity again as they come under the Corvette bridge. He's not going to make the move here, however, but it almost looks as though Vidal was going to back those two drivers back up into each other, because he didn't have a very good turn 5 there in the 09 machine.
This is going to be a three-way battle for the lead if it carries on like this. Fantastic racing.
So, in the Mazda MX-5 division, Flavien Vidal is your race leader from Arthur Chan, Ryan Hawley, Hango Tao and Jaime Ferreira. And in the Ford Mustang, Trace McRae is still dominating from Oscar Sarnen, Steve Brown, Russell Clayton, David Waters. And we have ourselves a little over 10 minutes left here at Road America, and I'll tell you what, the best battle on this racetrack really is for the top 3 positions in the Mazda MX-5 division. It is far from over.
Yeah, my money's still on Chan. If he can catch up to Vidal, I reckon he'll throw it down the inside.
But I think with Wally so close behind, Chan's having to look at it. Oh, Wally goes a bit wide there. Saved it.
Curse of the commentator there, mate.
Curse of the commentator strikes again. As I say, with his rearview mirrors full of Wally, it does make things very difficult for Chan, having to look ahead, see where he can line up for Dow, but not be too offensive. But I think he's now got that chance to try and make a move, because Wally's a good half second behind now, and that's going to take him about a lap or so to try and catch back up.
Yeah, Chan's catching up to Vidal now, and the battle for third in the Mustangs is, yeah, the gap's eked out to over a second, so that's going to take a while to get closed down again.
And this is what I'm saying, start planning a manoeuvre down the front straightaway to try and make it into turn number 5. You see?
Vidal's gone wide, but somehow he's managed to keep it on track. He's going defensive into turn 2. This is going to give Chan an excellent run now on the back straight. The slipstream's going to start kicking in, and Vidal's going to have to go super defensive.
Yeah, as you see, he's literally running the centre of the racetrack at the moment.
Yeah, he'll be moving over to the left, as you can see. He's just eking over, and all Chan needs to do is just outbrake him on the outside and force Vidal into a mistake.
Oh, I think Arthur Chan being a little bit cautious, knowing that he's still got himself a good couple of laps he's going to have to do here. Vidal really isn't very good through turn 5, always clipping that curb a little bit too much. And I think if you try and pass him on the outside, that's going to be Chan's best opportunity.
Yeah, you just, like in any car, if you hit those hard curbs, it's going to unsettle the car and the power's not going to get down onto the track properly. Chan's so good on the brakes, really, really good.
He's going to have himself another opportunity. If he's good enough for the carousel, times his acceleration perfectly, he's going to have the opportunity to try and close through the kink. And expecting them to be a little bit closer as they came through. Does look as though Vidal is very good through the carousel, and that's what's been able to save him a good number of times coming down into kind of the corner. Having a look back, however, Ryan Hawley is dropped back now. It's about 2.5 seconds behind this gap.
Maybe he's just decided, I don't want to get involved in this, and I'll bring the car home.
And let's not forget, there are a number of points on offer for positions all the way down the field. And for Ryan Hawley, if he thinks that, you know, he'd rather get third position than just chuck it away into the gravel trap, then that is always a viable opportunity.
Yeah, sometimes if you're thinking about a championship, it's better to just actually finish the race with some good haul of points. Chan and Vidal are absolutely going at it. This is going to be awesome. Chan just he's quicker in the last section, and Vidal's quicker in the first.
Yeah. And just having a look at the point standings for Ryan Hawley, because of Eric Biggs being a little bit further behind on the racetrack, Jason Beifogel and Giancarlo Lenzi both having difficult days here today, this is going to allow Hawley to really close up that gap to the top 3 drivers in the championship. I believe this finish at the moment is pretty much going to give himself, move himself up into the 3rd position in the championship. So for Hawley, I think it really is a case of, you know, if these 2 drivers ahead of him crash, that's awesome. But if not, 3rd place is good enough for me.
Yeah, he was doing the maths while he was chasing down Chan and decided to just ease back a bit.
And again, Chan has a very good run coming down the back straightaway. Not as good as it was the previous lap. He's really going to have to make a dive on attempt if he's going to do anything here. But he gets so close into the braking zone. But then Vidal just runs that curb, gets himself onto the grass, and then from this part of the racetrack, it does look as though Vidal is the better driver.
Yeah, it's through this long right-hander here. Oh, sorry, through the carousel leading back onto the kink. Yeah, he's very, very quick.
To update you on the Ford Mustang division, Trace McRae is your leader in the number 69 machine. He is coming down to complete lap 26. Oscar Sardi is sat in the 2nd position, with Russell Clayton in 3rd. Clayton has now fallen off to 3 seconds behind Oscar Sardi in the number 84 machine. And he has got Steve Brown right behind him as they came across the stripe. Steve Brown looking down to the inside of... Not quite going to happen, surely, but yes, it does. Steve Brown dives down to the inside, and they almost touched there. Russell Clayton, number 22 machine, side by side as they come down into turn number 2. Steve Brown is going to get the job done finally there. Steve Brown moves himself up into the 3rd position. Russell Clayton is down into 4th.
Fantastic close racing between those guys, showing a lot of respect. It would have been quite easy for one of those guys, one of them to just drift out a little bit and push them off onto the grass, but yeah, they both gave each other room.
Arthur Chan very, very close into the final corner, but he lost himself all forms of momentum just because of the fact that, you know, Flavien Vidal just broke a little bit too hard for him, and he had to brake himself too hard, lost himself some momentum into the corner, but now he's got a good run up the front straightaway, getting very close, gap down to about a car length between them as they come down to turn number 1. You see, again, Vidal running the centre of the racetrack. Is he going to look all the way down to the right-hand side? As you see, Arthur Chan down to the inside himself now. He's going to be the last of the late breakers, side by side.
Oh, is it? Oh, fantastic! They were so close to touching, but Chan's got the inside for turn 2. Decides just to tuck in behind him, so he wants to get the slipstream down this long straight and see if he can outbrake him again.
And while the inside line is the shortest way around the racetrack and the preferred line, you want to run yourself nicely off the corner, which is what Vidal is so good at. And when Arthur Chan was able to get down to that inside lane, just a little bit too touchy. He's now looking to the outside. They're going to be side by side into turn number 5, and the 50 machine braking at the same point. Not going to do the crossover, is he?
Yeah, I think he might be able to do it. He's not close enough.
But it did look as though Arthur Chan, almost playing bumper cars there.
I thought that was going to be a BTCC moment, a bump and a pass.
But Chan looks as though he's very good onto the brakes, but not as good as rolling off the corner. We saw that there in turn number 1 with Vidal just being able to keep that lead by, holding the outside line, running off the corner well, and it was a good job there by the 09 car.
Sometimes it's better to brake a little bit early just so you can carry that momentum through the corner. Chan's really good on the brakes, but he might be scrubbing too much speed and then he can't get on the power because he's still on the brakes. So.
Vidal there getting a little bit of tying on the grass there. It came down for the kink. That allowed Chan to close the gap once again. And it is literally from about this point where Chan is the fastest of the two drivers. And not going to be able to make the move into Canada. He's a bit too far back. But if you have a look at the two drivers coming through the final corner, that is where Chan set himself up last time. As you see, just closes so much through Canada. And then his first issue is coming into the final corner. As he's so good into here as well, there's just no room on the racetrack for him to position himself.
Yeah, he needs to do it into turn 1 and make it stick. Because he's going to have a nice... He's going to get a big draft down this long straight. I think he's a little bit too far back now.
So yeah, so come up the hill again. We've got ourselves less than 5 minutes left. Sorry, less than 5 minutes to the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series here on Glacier TV, sponsored by Safecraft Racing. And this is still the most intense battle on the racetrack in the 4GTs. As you're looking down to the inside again, Arthur Chan not quite close enough this time. This is the kind of pressuring someone into a mistake mode. As you see, both drivers getting onto the grass there. Vidal got himself onto the grass, but Chan also onto the grass and wasn't able to react to it perfectly enough. But these two drivers really, really turning it up now.
Yeah, Vidal was... I think he thought Chan was going to throw it down the inside and just decided to try and hold it and went off onto the grass. Luckily, he kept it out of the wall.
And if you want to throw yourself a joker into the pack, that is the number 72 of Bill Daly in the Ford Mustang division, who is coming up to tell. Very close between those two there as they came through turn number 5. Both those drivers there getting onto the grass, coming out of it. The number 72 Ford Mustang of Bill Daly, however, he's driving that damaged car, but he's still closing on these two Mazda MX-5s, and he could come into play as we're pretty much only about a lap and a half, 2 laps away from the conclusion of this race.
Oh, we've got Steve Brown and Russell going at it.
Here we go again.
Yeah, down into turn 1. Let's see who's got the biggest kahunas.
22 car on the inside. No room being left for either of these drivers. The 22 being forced to run that curb on the inside line is Steve Brown, and the number 82 machine was able to get the job done over Oscar Salin.
Yeah, it's Steve Brown.
Clayton even.
Just squeezed him on the inside, so he got a better drive out of the corner than Russell did.
So yeah, Russell Clayton, is he going to try and make a move down into turn number 5 once again? Looks like he's getting himself very, very, very close. Look at the slipstream between the two of them. Is he going to be the last of the late breakers? Yes, he is. Beautiful.
No,
but
he's overshot it.
Oh, no.
That's such a shame. He had to do it, though.
And that is going to cost him pretty much any chance
of... Waters is down the inside of him as well now.
Playing a little bit of bumper cars there. But now he's going to have the perfect line, the 22 machine, to just defend that position enough to keep the 4th spot.
Okay, and Chan and Vidal. Chan's a lot closer now, so...
As a 20 car at the same time managing to get himself down the inside. Sorry to interrupt you there, but David Waters in the number 76 machine was managing to get past Russell Clayton there and get the job done. Meanwhile, Arthur Chan is still stuck behind Flavien Vidal, but it does look as though Chan is getting a lot more racy.
Yeah, he's going to get frustrated. How much time have we got left on this?
Just having a look, and we have ourselves under 4 minutes left. So what, 2 laps?
Yeah, I'd say 2-3 laps maybe.
So it's almost desperation time for Arthur Chan in the number 50 machine. Not really in the running for the championship at the moment. So it is, one race glory for him. here in the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series. Having a look back, Arthur Chan is only one run race so far, and he is currently sat all the way down in 27th in points. But he done a sterling job in his first race and looking to do the same thing here. I see Trace McRae currently into turn number 2 in the Ford Mustang division in the number 69 machine in the first position. Sterling job by Trace McRae.
Bill Daly is catching up Arthur Chan and Vidal now, so he's going to be playing a role in how this race is going to pan out, I think.
But can you see the damage to the rear of Bill Daly's car? This is going to be interesting. Is he going to try and barge his way through? Is he just going to sit behind and watch his battle develop? As you see, once again, Chan getting very close. This is where Chan starts getting really strong into Canada corner. If he's got the chance to try and make a move here, this is going to be a chance to be able to do so. Not quite close enough, though. I think that Vidal is just a little bit better through the kink. But then as they come down into Canada corner, this is where Chan starts to be a lot stronger. And
Chan's going to try and do it into turn 1 again, and if Bill Daly's there, he should hold back and just let these guys fight it out. You don't want to get involved in something like this.
Into the final corner, they've got themselves just under 2 laps left to go. Just over 2 laps left to go, I say. And Flavien Vidal already running to the right-hand side of the racetrack, knowing that Chan's going to get himself a draft up the front straightaway. And here comes Bill Daly in the number 72 machine. And he's backing out the throttle a little bit, letting these drivers just carry on.
He doesn't want to get involved in this unless he can get past them both without messing up their lines. I wouldn't.
Arthur Chan got a good run through the centre of the corner there in turn number 1. Is he going to have the momentum to try and look down? You see there, the 09 car immediately blocking the inside lane. 50 car looking to the outside, and that's going to hurt his momentum as he tries to do the crossover. That is going to put him in a good foot there, coming down the straightaway here. Under the bridge, the famous yellow bridge from Sargento. I think it's Lemonade they sell, I don't care right now, but the 50 machine looking again to the left-hand side. If you can break him on the outside lane, this is going to be his opportunity. Is he going to try and make the move? Side by side as they come through the corner. He had the line. Now, Chan is going to try and do the cut over.
No, it's too far back. He's got one more chance at this.
Great racing by Vidal and Arthur Chan. These two drivers are pretty much tying for driver of the day here, but Vidal has done a sterling job holding that Mazda MX-5 lead in a race that we thought was going to be run by Giancarlo Lenzi. Came in hot favourite into this race, as Trace McRae is currently working his final lap. As you can see on your screens, currently coming down into turn number 5 himself. He's got himself a lap traffic of David Wamhood ahead of him. He's going to put himself a lap down momentarily, as Trace McRae being very careful now. He knows he's got himself an 8-second gap, not wanting to take himself any silly risks at all. Trace McRae dominant in this race. He had to come through the field once to get himself back into the lead, but great job.
Yeah, he's done a really good drive. Once he got back into the lead.
Sorry. David Wammer there, just losing the car right ahead of Trace McRae. Really weird. The number 18 machine, you probably just saw it on your screen. Just as Trace McRae coming up to the lap him, just caught himself onto the curb, put himself into the wall. Meanwhile, Russell Clayson is out of the race. Russell Clayson was involved in an incident that has put him out of the race as he was trying to make a move. Just having a look to see what happened to him. But Russell Clayson's race is over, and that is a shame for Clayson, who was fighting for the 3rd position earlier on.
Yeah, he was doing well. I'm just watching Chan and Vidal here, and this is it. This is Chan's last chance to kind of make the move on Vidal. Bill Daly's just hanging around in the background there.
Oh, is he going to be able to do it? He's going to get... Oh, no, he's on the grass. Oh, no.
That was
unlucky
a do or die.
For Chan.
Yeah, that was a do or die move.
That was close there. Meanwhile, Trace McRae He is coming himself into the final corner for the final time. Trace McRae, all he has to do now is accelerate in a straight line, bring it up the hill, and he is going to win round number 6 of the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series here at Road Atlanta. Great victory there for Trace McRae. Absolutely dominant in this race in the Ford Mustang division in the number 69 machine. David, the 69 car does yourself proud.
Yeah, he does. So it's a shame I couldn't do that earlier today in that Road Atlanta. But this is all about Trace McRae. It's awesome drive, fantastic.
Oscar Sarnin finishes in the second position in the number 84 machine. Russell Clayson, just to bring you up to speed with him, it looks like he got blocked a little bit by Clayson in the centre of the corner, but then he drives himself out wide, gets himself onto the grass, and pretty much puts himself into the inside retaining wall. So that gives Steve Brown the third position, David Waters fourth, and Alexis Moliner the fifth position, with Edmund Harshberger in sixth. Now we bring our attention back to Flavien Vidal. He is your race leader in the Mazda MX-5 Cup division. He's got himself now a second and a half advantage over Flavien Vidal, so pending any mistakes, Vidal is going to be able to bring the car through the kink, through Canada corner for one more time, and then he's got himself just a couple of corners left before he wins the MX-5 Cup division. Arthur Chan in second, Ryan Worley is in the third position, with Jaime Ferreira doing a sterling job in fourth. Was in fourth, so he's just been passed by Eric Biggs for the fourth position, with Jaime Ferreira now in the fifth spot.
Yeah. Chan had to make that move, stick on the outside to actually have any kind of chance of winning this race. So it was a do or die move. Whether it was the right move,
you always get one shot at least.
Yeah, you do. So who's your driver of the day?
Well, as Flavien Vidal comes across the line, I think he's going to have to be the driver of the day. I mean, Trace McRae, yes, he did a sterling job coming through the field in the Ford Mustang division, but for Vidal being able to hold off Arthur Chan the way he did for pretty much the entire second half of this race, through the caution period, some tremendous defensive driving, which, to be fair, it wasn't even too defensive. He just positioned his car in the right place at the right time, didn't have to do any blocking really, just made sure Arthur Chan had to do it the difficult way, and the number 50 machine just didn't have the opportunity.
Yeah, I go with Vidal as well. He'd done a sterling job just soaking up the pressure from Chan there. Not taking anything away from Chan, he did a really good drive. It was a great battle to watch.
So, to run through the final positions in this race, starting first with the Ford Mustang division. Your race winner, Trace McRae, by 4.9 seconds over Oscar Sarden, with Steve Brown in third, David Waters in fourth, Alexis Moliner in the fifth spot, with Edmund Harshberger in sixth, Bill Daly in seventh, Russell Clayson after that incident towards the end of the race in eighth, JD Bogardimer in ninth, and Joseph Ottofaro in 10th. Matt Ferris, Ayrton Ellis, Stefan McPherson, and Eric Hansard rounding out your field. And then in the Mazda MX-5 division, Flavien Vidal manages to hold off Arthur Chan to take victory by a little over 2 seconds from Arthur Chan. Ryan Worley in third, Eric Biggs in the fourth position, Jaime Ferreira in his first race in the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series in fifth, Hango Tao in sixth. Disappointing finish for Tao, who's running as high as third at one point in this race, with Rez Eric in seventh, Tom Ekin in eighth, Michael Grisner in ninth, David Wayman in 10th, and then Jason Beifogel, Giancarlo Lenti. Disappointing day for him. Disappointing day also for Antti Turman, John Montoya in 14th, Matthew Reinhold in 15th, and Stefan Moria, your last place finisher.
And only 15 cars on the lead lap. Wow, that's a high attrition rate right there.
Indeed it is for a number of these drivers. Welcome to the booth. Race winner in the Mazda MX-5 division, Flavien Vidal. Flavien, great drive by you. You awarded the Glacier TV commentators drive of the race. Just how difficult was it to keep the 50 machine of Arthur Chan behind you in that last half an hour?
Well, Arthur was like right behind me, like the entire like second half of the race, and with all those cautions and stuff, it was like very hard to keep up. Like I made like really lots of mistakes at one point, like mistakes after mistakes after mistakes, and I got back to me like real fast. So I got like kind of like worried at one point, yeah, more than worried to be honest.
And 2 laps from the end, he tried to make the move on the outside of turn number 1. Pretty much a do-or-die manoeuvre for him, and it didn't quite go to plan. But great job for you. Just take us through the early stages of your race and how you managed to position that number 09 car out front.
Sorry, can you repeat this one? Like I didn't get it. Sorry.
No worries. Just how interesting is your race trying to get your way to the front and then maintain the lead?
Oh, it was like really good actually, but with all those cautions and stuff, it didn't like it kind of like killed the rhythm of the race, and like I guess like I wasn't alone like to be a bit like annoyed by it and making mistake because of it, because it's just like kind of rough like to keep up with all the action and stay awake during like a 15-minute caution lapse. So, but it was interesting. So I liked it. And Arthur like was real fast, and so I got a nice race, I guess. But it was fine.
And would like to welcome in second place finisher Arthur Chan. Arthur, you really did try to take that race lead away from Vidal, but didn't quite manage to get the opportunity. Take us through your race. Arthur? Nope. Nope. Is he here now? Okay, we'll come back to Arthur in just a matter of moments' time. Hopefully he'll be back. But Flavion, next, in 2 weeks' time, we're moving over to Watkins Glen International for what will be a really interesting race. Again, the speed differential between the MX-5s and the Mustangs is one thing, but the MX-5s really got the advantage through the twisty section of the racetrack. Are you looking forward to Watkins Glen?
Yeah, definitely. I guess it's going to be like a really tight race, you know, like compared to Mid-Ohio and like more like twisty races where like basically racers get far apart from each other and end up like outlapping a little. Like it's a bit like Road America, I guess. We're going to be like really close from each other, and it should be like give some great racing action, I guess. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Well, congratulations on your race victory. It was definitely well deserved. Very big well done to you. We'll try. Sorry?
I'll just say thanks for the kind words.
No worries. So we're going to try Arthur Chan again. Arthur Chan, you came second in the race with a very determined drive. How did the race go for you?
Quite well. I guess I started off getting extremely lucky going into the pits just before the first caution, just out of pure luck, and I found myself starting going back to green and having a huge train of Mustangs go past me. Second caution period, Flavian was just behind me, and I was trying to draft up behind the Mustang on the start, but I just completely messed up the shift and pretty well got stuck in neutral for quite a few seconds, so he went past me there. Had a good battle along the way. Of course, you probably saw a super battle with Flavian, but I just couldn't find a way past.
And those last half an hour of the race was very, very difficult for you. Tried to make a move just a couple of laps before the end on the outside of turn number 1, but didn't manage to make it stick. Was that a kind of do-or-die maneuver for you?
Pretty well. After following for a couple of laps, I started thinking about where I was going to make my move. The back straight, the gearing were just on the rev limiter there, so not much you can do there. So the first turn looked like the best place, and that last lap, it literally was a do or die. I was trying to see if I could go on the outside and make it stick, and couldn't quite. I saw I had a bit of a gap behind me, and it was all okay.
And congratulations on your second place finish. I know you've only done a couple of races in the series, but you really are making yourself stand in the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series. And we move on to Ayrton Ellis. Ayrton, you had a difficult day in your Mustang today. Managed to bring it home in the end in 12th position, 11 laps down. Take us through your day and what was a pretty difficult afternoon for you.
Well, it wasn't a great track car combination for me. I just came back from vacation, so I just had today to practice, and I was struggling with keeping up with the other cars. There's a few drivers that I was able to keep up with, and I thought if I could just get ahead of them, I could hold them off for majority of the race. But the restarts, they're just so bunched up, and I couldn't even see my braking points in front of me. It was so difficult. I ended up knocking myself out when I hit the rear of, it was David Waters in turn 2, and I dropped to last place. And after that, there was that second caution, and my car just got demolished in that wreck. I had like 4 minutes of repairs, I think, and it just sent me really just struggling around the track for the rest of the race.
And take us through, I think it was the second caution, where you had MX-5s up front and then the Mustangs behind. It was all bunched up and slightly crazy. Just how difficult was it to work through the MX-5s?
Well, a lot of the MX-5s were willing to let the Mustangs by, which was nice, but then some other were fighting for a position in the front, and they didn't want to let anybody by in risk of losing their position. So it was really just, I couldn't see a thing. I mean, I was just hoping that I didn't hit into anyone. When I saw someone's brake lights go on, I just slammed on the brakes, and it just got so crazy. It was really difficult.
And moving on to Watkins Glen International in a fortnight's time. A track that holds better memories for you at all?
I just bought the track, so I've only done like an F1 hosted session there or something, and it's a very fun track. I think I'm going to have a good race there. Not too many places where you can really get knocked out. There, you can have a lot of like good side-by-side racing, so I think it'll be a much better race for me.
And moving on to Wes Eric. Wes Eric, interesting race for you as well today in the Mazda MX-5 divisions. Ended up coming home in the 7th spot. Take us through your race.
Yeah, I was actually pretty excited about finishing 7th. That's my best finish so far this season. But, man, I was had great positioning for 2 of our huge incidents. They happened right in front of me both times. The first one, the madness, the pile up on the start-finish line, I managed to get through that unscathed. And then the second one in the Canada corner, I managed to get through that unscathed. So I can't claim that was skill. It was a little bit of luck on my part, I think, that I got through both of those clean. And certainly that helped in my finishing position. I also had an interesting, normally I like to wait until our mandatory pit stop window, but for some reason something in my mind told me today to take a caution or take my pit stop a little bit early. And sure enough, I hit the pits on like lap 6 or whatever it was, and as I was coming out of the pits was our first caution. So that worked out beautifully for me because I lost no time and I was able to run at full speed almost through that whole caution and get right back up on the field, so that helped out a bunch too.
And moving on to Watkins Glen International in a couple of weeks' time, is it a track that you're looking forward to?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a historic racetrack. It's a fun track here on iRacing. Absolutely looking forward to it. Looking for hopefully another top 10. I'm not fast enough to run with some of these other guys like Flavian and James Stevenson to look for a podium or a top 5, but as long as I'm shooting for a top 10, that's good enough for me.
Well, good race for you. Hopefully we'll see you again at Watkins Glen International in a couple of weeks' time. We've got sorry about that. That's all right. We got ourselves one more interview using Carlo Lenzi. You had a very difficult day. You came into the race as one of the favourites for the race, and then it just started unravelling for you with an incident, I believe, at Canada Corner and the incident at the start-finish line.
Yeah, it was a concentration thing. As soon as we did the restart, Bill was on my outside, and I thought that we only had another Mustang behind me. I didn't see Bill was coming up fast, so I wasn't watching my mirrors because I had enough room on my left. My brother called, which is a dumb mistake, and he had been kind of bugging me throughout the race, so I finally picked up. I thought it was something important. And right at that point, Bill had kind of come up real fast and tapped me on the rear. And that kind of just ruined the whole concentration, ruined everything for me for the rest of the race.
And first question's got to be, was there actually anything important on the phone call?
No. was nothing important on the phone call. So if there is anything ever important, I will just hear about it after the race.
Note to self, turn your phone to silent. And then after the incident on the start-finish line, you had the incident in Canada Corner as well. Just how disappointing is it to be involved in 2 wrecks in the space of a couple of restarts?
I was surprised about that one. I thought, my brakes were good enough. I was coming around David Wayman and right behind Bill. Bill was slowed up by an MX-5, and then there was this blind accident up ahead that really slowed him down. And I just coming into that, I was pretty upset. Obviously, there was a lot of curse words going on, and for the rest of the race, it ruined me. So, I wish I could have stayed up there with Flavian and Chan. Really fast guys, but it just wasn't to be.
Okay, and just one more question for you. Moving on to Watkins Glen International in 2 weeks' time, a track that you're looking forward to at all?
Yeah, we ran Watkins Glen, just the regular boot, or not even the boot, classic, out in Grand Touring. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's just recently, so it'll be like this track. A lot of drafting, a lot of fast corners, and I think a lot of close pack battles.
Well, thank you very much, Inko, and tough luck in your race today. And thank you to everyone who's taken the time to talk to us post-race. That concludes our broadcast of round 6 of the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series on Glacier TV. The series will be back in 2 weeks' time at Watkins Glen International. Going to be one of the most exciting races of the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series. And don't forget, Glacier TV's coverage of racing this weekend continues tomorrow with the Dover 400, round 8 of the Afterburn IndyCar Series. The Continental Endurance Sports Car Series has been brought to you by Safecraft Racing, your home for safety harnesses, belt and head net. Drive fast, be safe with Safecraft Racing. And for myself, from David Ward, good night.